Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis, Sam McKee, Justin Bourne. The Leafs are actually back. Last time, it was a joke. Last time, we were kidding around. We were just messing around. The series is tied 3-3, improbably. The Boston Bruins, the hated Boston Bruins, now on the verge of the most spectacular history, attempting to become the first team in MLB, NBA, and NHL playoff history to blow consecutive 3-1 leads in back-to-back playoffs. I can't believe that we're talking about this. The Leafs are back. They're going to a game 7. Justin Bourne, how did they do it?
Buddy, this a lot of really good positional play. Their support players were very good. Their goaltender played excellent. Boy, I don't know. Like it was not the usual Leafs of the regular season where you rely on the stars. I thought I'll give Sheldon Keefe some credit. I thought they looked like an organized, disciplined hockey team tonight.
There's multiple different reasons to turn this game off. If you were a Leaf fan, it's because of how tight and stressful it was. And if you're a neutral, because it was terrible. This was a absolute meat grinder. Like it was a day at the old sausage factory. It was not enjoyable from start to finish. It was too close. Just, every moment felt huge. The Leafs caved them in. Power play sucked. You felt like it was going to swing for the Bruins. They were going to get a power play goal, and that was going to be it. And it just didn't. And, Sheldon Keefe has said the words "stay with it" more than any 3 words ever in the last 3 days. And you got to give them credit. They listened to the coach, and they stayed with it. But, man, what a slog.
So, in classic Leafs fashion, they won a playoff game by starting on time, getting good goaltending, and a timely goal at the end of a period. Very much the hallmarks of this team in a positive way. This is everything people have been asking for these last couple of games with the starts, right? They've come out with great energy, and they've kind of taken it to the Boston Bruins, and they've made it uncomfortable on them. I will say this, it is strange to see the Leafs transform from a puck possession team that is high level skill that relies upon high level players to a team that is like a dump and chase forecheck team.
You just chop it now. That's what we do.
But that's it, Bourne. I wanted to ask you about this in particular, because if you would have told me that the formula to beat the Bruins was timely goals, goaltending, and good forecheck, I would have said, well, you're dead. You're dead. And here they are using that formula in the last 2 wins. So, what has changed from the offensive discipline standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny. We had Bieksa on our show today, and he was talking about how, the reality of playoff hockey sometimes, if it's even numbers on a rush, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, best thing you can do is just put it behind the other team, go get it, play in their end, wear them down and kind of wait for your opportunities. And you're right. It's jarring because it's not what we're used to necessarily, but it is so strange watching them and being like, usually it's like, okay, here comes Matthews. Maybe something happens now, or here comes Nylander. I know Willie gets 2 tonight, but I didn't really feel that he was the dynamic game breaker until it happened at the end in particular. So it just kind of felt like, I don't know, man, hang out in the Bruins end and wait for something good to happen. And it turns out what happens is it doesn't go in your net.
I got to tell you that if I have, you can give the Leafs a ton of credit for playing defensively, but I'm not sure I've watched any version of the Boston Bruins play 2 awful back-to-back games like I've just watched them play. There's been a huge part of this that's clearly the Leafs, digging in and staying with it, where they're Keefe's favorite 3 words. But this, if there's any doubt that the 3-1 thing was in their head, the last 2 hockey games are the absolute proof of it, because they were awful for the first half of this game. They found their way a little bit into the second period, and they kind of turned it on in the after that. But even their start, it was just terrible. I want to give the Leafs a ton of credit, but I have to take away from the Bruins. They've been brutal for 2 games. I can't imagine what Bruins talk is doing right now. They must be apoplectic. They've been awful.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. The Bruins seem to find their game, both these last 2 Maple Leafs wins, as the game went on. Like, they've started to generate a little bit more offense, but you really do see it as the quality chances for both these teams in this game. Like, What are they? Like, Bourne, when you get the sports logic in this one, like the Leafs score a goal that's off a breakaway at the end of it that I will count as a high danger one, right? Which is Nylander. There was a chance that might not get scored as one, which is the Tavares miss. There was the Domi breakaway, but these are all like score effects. Yeah. Like when this game is tied 0-0, do you guys remember like a significant chance in the game where somebody made a like uber threatening play? Like,
they got it at 5-5 bunk, but and 5-4 at 5-on-5. So the Leafs had one on a power play apparently, but they'll count them if it's like, remember Marner kind of threw that one in and maybe someone touched it and it was like, it's never going in. But so it's, you're right. It's not like a super grade A. So it's been pretty tough to create on either side.
But this is where I'm going with this is, God, the Joe Woll thing is so massive because it's just, you don't feel like there's a guy that's going to let in the backbreaker that Samsonov let in game 3. Like, the Bruins don't have the offensive firepower to muster much together. Like, they've got Pastrnak, and he hasn't looked like David Pastrnak. He was rumored to be banged up coming into this series. I don't know how much of that is a part of it, but that's something that Fluto Shinzawa told me of The Athletic on my podcast leading into the series. Brad Marchand has definitely had like timely, gutsy moments, but he hasn't been like a force. Who's been the Bruins' best forward? Zaka? Like, where are they getting their offense? Charlie Coyle had a dangerous play. That was the most dangerous one for Boston this game, right? Coyle has one on the doorstep. Woll had to make a couple of timely saves, didn't let in a backbreaker, and then you're kind of just in coin toss mode between these two teams.
Yeah. Well, let's give some credit where it's due there. I think the best pair the Leafs have, McKee and Benoit, have been fantastic. Like, the retrievals are so good when 22 goes back on it, but Benoit almost murders a guy with 3 minutes left. Like, he's still hitting people. And I got to believe if you're Pastrnak, like he had one chance where Benoit kind of ended up putting him into the boards, and it's like, just stop it. And you want the other team's best guys to be like, God, every time I touch it in the ozone, I get hit. And between the butchers they got back there now, guys get hit all the time.
They have been hammering Pastrnak the entire series. Like, I bet you if you went back and watched the highlights of all the games in this series, which may not be a ton of fun from a neutral perspective, but if you went back and watched a lot of these highlights, I bet you Pasternak's taken, 8 to 9 really big hits, like solid, like knocks from the Leafs defense. And that's clearly part of their game plan. They probably knew that he was banged up. They want to make him feel it. And they've done a great job on him. And what does he have? 4 points in this series, a couple goals. They've done a really good job limiting him, and you got to give him credit. And a lot of it has been McCabe. A lot of it's been Benoit leaning on him. I've just been really impressed with that pair. And again, tonight, like they just seem unafraid to me. Unafraid is how I would put it. They're just playing their game regardless of the time and the situation. They're not changing who they are, and they're just really, really rising to the occasion. I've loved those two guys. To
kind of tie your two guys' points together is like, when you say playing their game, Sammy, I don't feel like the Leafs are chasing it. No. Like they don't look uncomfortable doing it. This is actually, again, you got to give a lot of credit to Brad Treliving. This isn't the way that we all thought the Leafs were going to be built when they put together the core four. But when you're talking about snot and toughness, and I like Dubas, that's a trade for him with McCabe, who I think Bourne. I was going to ask you guys who you thought the Leafs' best player tonight. And my answer is McCabe. Like I genuinely thought he was the Leafs' best guy. But this is who they are now. Is there a team that bangs and will wear you down throughout a hockey game, and it doesn't feel forced? It doesn't feel like they're chasing it, or in some of these Bruins games that they've had in the past, and some of these games during the regular season, you could see the Leafs like searching for that identity, like almost trying to prove it to the other teams, going, "Look at us, we're tough now. We're tough now, big brother." And the other teams are like, "Okay, we won.
Yeah, we won 4-1 for you. Good job, guys."
And in this series, I feel like they're physical, but not forced, if that makes sense.
For sure it does. And if I'm not mistaken here, I'm pretty sure this is true. It was true after at least 4 games. I forget if it's 5. Lyubushkin hasn't been on for a 5-on-5 goal against in the series. So some of the support heaviness that they've had.
Delete the reaction pod.
Well, you got any clips of that to pull up for me, Bunk?
It's a true. I did a true there. So I mean, it's they've got pleasant surprise from the back end all around, which, the Leafs defense, I don't think a lot of people went in and said that's a major strength of the team, but they've been good.
I love both the guys that Tree brought in at the deadline tonight. And I've loved, Edmondson is a calming presence back there. Like he's clearly not, it's not pretty at any time, neither with Lyubushkin, really neither with Benoit. But to me, the two guys I trust the least are probably Riley and Liljegren, which is crazy. Yeah. Like I really can't believe that's where I'm at with this decor, but I feel definitely most comfortable when it's, Benoit, when it's McCabe, Edmondson, Lyubushkin. They've all been really solid. I love what Lyubushkin does to the cycle on other teams, just cuts it off. Did it to Pastrnak a couple times tonight. But yeah, man, like I'm stunned at what this decor has become. I never would have pictured it being this, and they're just now it's a bunch of mutants. That's what it is, really.
Yeah, like they still can't really break the puck out, but
no.
Like what have the other teams done to the Leafs in the past in the postseason? They've been able to get the front of the net, they've been able to cycle on them, they've been able to forecheck and bang. How many series have we watched defensemen go back and be like, oh my God, I'm terrified of this guy going back and getting a puck and getting nailed and not being able to deal with it? Like Liljegren's really the only guy that you feel that way about right now. And I got to say, poor Morgan Riley there getting lumped in with Liljegren, but you have to do it.
I mean, it's not wrong, is it?
No, listen, who do you have as leading who's getting complained about in your text messages amongst your hockey group chats and friends? Because 44 is leading mine by like,
it was 88 till he scored twice.
By the way, Morgan Riley, 2 helpers on 2 goals tonight, plus a +1 in 24 minutes. So terrible. But no, it's an eye test thing.
I would say that those 2 assists that he got, like one is a dipsy doodle play that it's funny. There's an alternate reality where Nylander turns that puck over and it becomes a 2-on-1 the other way, right? Because we've seen that this year when he plays with the puck up there and he does that and he just fires it on net, goes off a defender and in. And then the other one is like a nice play by Nylander to force the puck out, and then Knies chipping up to him, taking a hit to make a play, and then the beautiful finish. But I would say that that's kind of one where you keep the context with the stats with Morgan Riley.
Yeah, look at that play by Matthew Knies. Turns his big body into the checker, protects the puck, spins and puts it on Willie's stick. Like Matthew Knies is having a absolute coming out party in this series. Is a guy who can perform in big moments. He's played in big moments in college, and also Willie having these stones to go cheeky backhand 5-hole at the hockey game on the line.
It's time for Knies talk, right? Like,
can I just say how unbelievably confident you have to be to do that? Where you have one of this goalie that's been stonewalling you the entire series, been unbelievable down low, and 20,000 people breathing down on you, and you just come in and feather 1 5-hole. That is sickening. That is sickening skill, gumption, whatever you want to do. That's why you pay him $11.5 million for that kind of skill. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's and that's the game-winning goal, right? Like that goal's huge. Yeah. I know in the moment it felt like gratuitous. The Bruins end up potentially tying this hockey game. If
Dewar banged one off the post from the center, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Thought the same thing is who had it the other night in the
dude had a good game, guys.
The dude had a great game, but then he would have been a GOAT forever. The dude, if he hadn't hit that one in the middle of the net, it would have been bad.
The dude had a couple nice moments in his game, but it's Knies talk. Okay. we have to do Knies. We got to stick on Knies. The dudes were impressed with the dude tonight. He was solid. There was definitely some moments where I had to like reel back text messages of being like, he had a chance.
He's so good.
Yeah, he was really good. But Matthew Knies, Bourne, you said it. I thought that he hit a rookie wall at some point this year. Yeah. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to persevere. It felt like way too much pressure on his shoulders in hindsight coming into the season. And yet all of a sudden you're seeing the kid that we all hyped up during the preseason. Like this is the guy that everybody hoped on.
Yeah. No, it's just, I didn't like, I've texted you guys about it and I tweeted about it, but like extreme dog. He is a dog. Like you can see it happening before your eyes where he's finally realizing that he's huge and strong and got like he has an ability to get to the front of the net and just chop at pucks and be in that area. He's got the skill to match it. Like he really is a type of guy where you can when he's playing like this in the playoffs, it's like he's the most playoff type guy they've drafted in however long. Like
he could be Tom Wilson minus the fighting.
Yes,
He could be the huge guys who, forechecks hard and runs guys over and goes to the net and scores 20 to 30.
absolutely.
He could be a big piece of playoff success. Hopefully this year, it's certainly gone well for him so far.
Yeah, well, the thing I actually was thinking about with him tonight is, oddly, he's been kind of their most consistent offensive player in terms of doing the thing he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
which is be at the net. Like he's doing the things he did in the regular season.
He's just driving north constantly. Like, how many times in the first period? I know that the Hockey Night panel cut that clip of just him fighting through checks over and over and over. Like, they're basically doing what's that game in elementary school? Like Red Rover? Red Rover, where they're doing that to him.
We call Matthew Knies.
We call Matthew Knies over, and he's just like, I love going over.
Blowing shoulders out of sockets. This is a bad game.
He just loves going over because he's firing over nonstop. Like every time, straight lines, right? Playoff hockey. This is kind of who this guy is. And then in front of the net, despite taking a beating, I guess that's the benefit of having like the world's biggest neck, is that you can just absorb damage.
He's a dog. He's Clifford the big blue dog. He's and I say blue because he's a Leaf. He can power through, man.
He's a bit of a blockhead, no doubt. Definite blockhead.
I think
he's
just
flying through there. Yeah.
Looks like a blockhead. Plays like a blockhead. They needed a blockhead. Like,
absolutely.
Big fan of the blockhead. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you were a little concerned about what Matthew Knies' future was at any point during this year's regular season, like if you wondered, is this just a guy or what is he really? And, Bobby McMahon kind of stole his thunder for a while as that guy. And now in the playoffs, you're like, wow, this is 2 years in a row where you really haven't been afraid of the moment and you've provided the things. And what is he, 21 still?
21. And also, so he was on for every overtime winner they had last year against Tampa Bay. And I mentioned this on our show. He also scored 3 OT winners in college. Like he is okay with big moments.
Clutch
factor.
Clutch gene, baby.
We got a big clutch guy in Toronto.
I will say though that I looked at his ice time when you guys were talking there. He's up to 19-10 tonight.
Yeah.
Played 17. Played 17 last game. So he's up a full 2 minutes. You're just watching him grow. You're watching Keith's trust in him grow. Yeah. Like, it's just, he is, especially with Matthews out, he is a go-to guy for this team. And it's crazy how unafraid he looks compared to like Marner, who to me, again, I know we don't want to do too many negatives, but Marner to me again tonight, who looked very tepid, very timid and afraid of contact again, didn't have a lot of great plays. It's just jarring to see a big blockhead flying through the neutral zone, trying to run guys over. It's like, he is a go-to guy now, and he's showing it. He makes a great play off the sideboards to Willie for the game winner. Like, he's just really imposed himself in this series. I've loved it. Loved it.
For sure.
I think we're all big Knies fans. I will say this, like, in terms of negative talk, I don't know what you could say about Marner tonight. He had a chance in the first period, and from that point forward, it was like pretty ghostly stuff.
Like I've said this before about it. It's not bad plays. It's that nothing happens. There's no good plays. You're not involved.
Yeah.
I'm sure the metrics loved him defensively.
I was going to say,
like,
when the
I'm
Bruins
sure
didn't get any shots, the metrics will be fine. Like,
no, but I'm sure he was crazy. His nerd stats defensively tonight are probably just off the charts, which I don't care about, but I'm just saying that. Like, there's going to be a case where people are like, he's actually not that bad because of this.
Listen, they didn't
maybe on our show.
They're not trying to pay $11 million or raise him up to 13 mil for a guy who's excels at shot suppression. Like,
buddy, they're paying 11 mil for Alex Kerfoot right now.
Yeah,
that's what they got. Like, it's like
that's so rude, but also true.
What is he like?
Don't disparage Kerfoot.
Oh wow, do you think that's a shot at Kerfoot?
I just meant that's being used as a pejorative. I like that.
I mean, if you pay Kerfoot $11 million on the hockey team you want to build, I just think with Marner, like, I don't want to get into big picture talk here, okay? Because we'll save a lot of that for after the series. But I do think if you're a Leafs fan who right now has the underlying feeling of, man, I don't really know how I feel purely about the winning because you'd like to see something different. I just can't imagine being Brad Treliving and even Brendan Shanahan, who's run this quarterback a million times, and looking at the formula that they use to win this playoff hockey game, right? Like physicality, strong defensive play, good goaltending. Like, obviously they need more offensive firepower. You're not going to win every night with a margin of just like 1-0, 2-1. That's outrageous. Look at some of the things the other teams are doing here, but I still can't believe that they would be looking at Mitch right now and then playing out the results and saying, oh, well, we don't need to tinker the process of what we've got here with the core. Like I'd like to believe anyways now after tonight and seeing that concept or that way that played out, that there is a reality where the Leafs come back, win this series and be competitive moving forward. But even still, they hit an off season and they try to address some big questions like that.
Yeah, it definitely helps them here that Boston is not awesome. That's working in their favor. So you can't get too excited about those sort of things. I'll also add that Tavares pretty ineffective for me too. His opportunity did nothing with it.
Like
I need him to win a draw on a power play too, Sammy. Just win one power play faceoff for me.
Like I remember we had this conversation during the playoff series against Florida last year, where he had so many chances. Everybody's like, he's getting his chances and all that. But like at some point, you're John Tavares. You're making this kind of money. You got to bear down. You got to take that one to the net. You had space. He's obviously afraid of his own speed. Take that baby to the net. See what happens. Like you can't fire the wrister wide from the middle of the circle. Like it just, at some point you got to bear down and put one in the net here.
Which is crazy because we just said didn't love 16 or 91. 34 is not playing. So you get goals from the one other guy. And then I'm looking at my book. I'm like, I really like Calle Yarncroc tonight. He sure works hard, good stick on the forecheck, ozone time. So, they got to win without their best parts going. And that I keep saying this and I'll say it again, like there's a lot of reasons to believe that they should and could and can be better still in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say to Tavares' credit, like given the nature of the game, he did lead all forwards and hits with 7.
He worked hard. He worked.
He works hard every game. He's not going to give you a non-honest effort, but
I just wanted to bring that up. Like, obviously, again, I think that this is a game where two things can be true. You can be thrilled about the Leafs winning. You can be happy that they did it in a way that is a little bit unfamiliar, again, with like the timely goal scoring and a bounce going your way and, not getting killed on a power play and, go late period one that goes your way, whatever. But you can also evaluate it objectively and say, I expected the Toronto Maple Leafs to be a team that felt threatening at times. And once again, it's 0 for 3 on the power play. Like this, William Nylander gets full marks because the pucks went in and he has the finisher. So does Knies. But I think if you're the rest of the top 6, like, I don't know, creating some chances off the cycle, if you're Marner's line, a lot of perimeter stuff is not really what you're paid to do.
Yeah.
Agree.
It's crazy. Now we're going to have 2 days of like Anchorman Panda watch with Austin Matthews. It's going to be Matthews watch every day.
Can we,
it really is.
Can I do some ref talk, but not in the way that you think I might? First of all,
you never do this, but go ahead.
First of all,
you never do ref talk. So go ahead.
The tall linesman tonight was an absolute hero. Just drop the puck, pal. Holy hell. Every game is like, oh my God, it's about me. It's about me. Turning around again. I'm like, just drop it. Drop it and call the lines, bud. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Like, what's going on? Second of all, Leafs got away with one big time. And listen, a lot of Leaf fans will talk about the way that there's some officiating that happens between Bruins and Leafs. And, every fan base thinks they get the hose. But like this directly led to a goal. And like, he's holding the stick or whatever.
Yeah.
He buries him. Like absolutely, that's a clear 2-minute board. No questions asked. I can't believe any Leaf fan is saying it's not. Like I see people being like, he's holding the stick. He eviscerated him face first into the boards. That's a penalty 10 times out of 10. And the Leafs got away with one. So
Bourne, where are you at with that one? Because I'm in team. He was really holding the stick.
Really?
I'll say this. There's a lot of times, and I've meant to compile a video on this, where you go in to hit a guy against the boards. You hit them in the back and they're prepared. They know you're there. So they brace for contact and that kind of leads the board battle. Lowry knows he's there. He's holding his stick. He's aware he's in a battle and Holmberg leans on him too heavy from too close to the boards and probably takes a penalty. So I'll say it's like, I'm not as, maybe it's 2 minutes. It's probably 2 minutes.
It's 2. And they're 45% on the power. It's not
but
like
I don't think it's egregious that it's uncalled.
I don't even want
that's where I'm at, Bourne. I don't view that as like, and I'm fair. If you're a Boston fan and you're in the chat right now and you're like, I came here for this one moment for you to say this, and then yours, I just didn't like when I saw the holding of the stick. That's what I thought is you initiated the contact. He tries to break off you with one. you keep holding onto the stick. What's the escalation going to be? A harder separation, and you go in the boards. It's a hard play. Had the ref whistled it, I wouldn't have been like, what are you doing? He held the stick. Yeah. But for it to play out that way, I'm definitely not like, wow, that's one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I can't believe they got away with it. In live, I thought that. Live, when it happened, I was like, oh my God, he caught a body, and I can't believe there was no call. But on review,
the audio killed me. It was like, I don't know if you guys know the game Roblox. It was like an oof. It was just like, it's like, all right. You didn't expect that.
I actually have a little follow-up on Ref Talk, which is this. Shout out to Mike Rupp, who was on my podcast today. By the way, subscribe to this podcast. Leave 5 stars if you're listening on Apple or on Spotify. If you're watching right now on YouTube, then we would really ask if you hit the thumbs up or leave a comment. Those things really help us. You can follow our other shows, the JD Bunkis podcast and Real Kipper and Bourne. I have Teemu Solani on tomorrow. He was apparently in Toronto. I'm very excited to have him on. One of my favorite players. But yeah, I had Rupp on today, and he mentioned that keep an eye out for the officiating on Marchand early, because he thought the diving in the last game was going to cost him. And it did. And it would probably be a story if the Leafs had, even like a semi-competent power play, like they could do anything on the power play just to get a chance, make the goalie move. I don't know, anything. But I thought that was something today that they called that on Marchand, because I thought that first penalty was a little like,
I thought Marchand shoving a linesman probably didn't set him on the right foot with the stripes.
I would have shoved that linesman too. I would have shoved that linesman too as a hero the whole night. I would have shoved him down.
Not only that, he's standing right where he needs to go, and he's like coming in trying to break up the play. It's like, what are you doing? Like, just let these guys handle the business.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So Marchand giving him a little shove, being like, hey, this is the second game in a row where a linesman has come for me.
You can't shove a ref.
Bertuzzi's such a skid. He does the scorpion claw grabbing onto, like, look at this. What is this? He's it's like MMA all of a sudden. But I thought that Bertuzzi tried to go in with like a Widowmaker elbow on Bertuzzi. On Marchand right before he grabbed onto him for that penalty. Like, it was definitely Bertuzzi that initiated that contact. Like, he went up under him with the elbow up. He grabs on. They called one on Marchand. He gets it or whatever. But yeah, like, I don't even want power plays. Like, it's hard to.
I got mad for the first time. I'm pretty patient. I was mad today.
The 4-minute one, as mad as I've been watching a hockey game in a really long time. Like, I just was sitting there like, I can't do this. Like, please end it. Enough. Get back to 5-on-5.
Tavares is like a 60% face-off guy, and on the power play, he's -4.
0%. Lost every draw he's ever taken on the power play. Can't win one.
I thought that we do crowd talk on this show, and I thought the crowd was spectacular in this game. And it's something for Cuthbert to bring it up, but I would say that is when I was the most mad at the team, was that 4-minute power play, because it really did feel like when that finished, Boston had a flurry of chances right after that power play ended. Woll had to make his first couple saves. They were sitting on one shot. You can see it up there if you're watching on YouTube. Like, they were sitting at one shot, and then the end of that power play happens, and Boston gets a little juice and starts firing some pucks on net. And I could feel like the depression lull in the crowd.
And how can you can't? There is no way
to run that back.
Yeah, like I don't know how they didn't boo. Like, they really held it together. I know, but they really held it together to not boo. Just with the reputation of this, like a soft, like grumbling. Like, it's so painful. It's
like the inability to just take what's given to them is like shown so well in Morgan Riley. Boston allows him up through the neutral zone and says, we're so confident you're going to drop it. We'll let you through. You're through. You're already through. Chip it in and get after it. He turned it over trying to go through a guy back to his own end.
Bourne, they showed the least flattering camera angle ever for that, where they flashed to the ice long camera.
Yeah.
And there was a massive gap he had a full head of steam. Like, Morgan, you're the best skater on the team. Fly through that zone. Go deep. He
tries to go triangle to go the wrong way. It was.
I think if I had some advice for the power play, I think they should turn it back a little more. Maybe a couple more, pass backs, a couple more saucer passes over 17 sticks at the blue line. Yeah. Those are two things that are really working for them. They should really keep doing that. How about the adjustment? hard rim adjustment.
Yeah,
anything.
I know they'd never do it, but it's just painfully clear to me that Morgan Rielly shouldn't be on power play one. It should be Jake McCabe. Like McCabe, it had actually the only moment on the power play that I liked was he had the Markov, the fake pass, the fake slap shot pass right into the slot.
Yeah.
That if it goes off of a body, like you actually find one there. I just think that he's the willing shooter. He's been playing aggressive. He can still snap a pass, give him a look there. And then, like I hate saying it over and over, but they'll never move Mitch Marner off that power play. But I actually feel as though he should not be on that first power play. So I don't know how Keefe isn't splitting them up. It's like you're 1 for 20 now. Like, I don't know how this group is so precious that you couldn't be like, hey guys, I've given you 20 chances, so I'm splitting up the 4 guys.
20 power plays in 6 games is so many power plays.
Yeah.
Like they've gotten
such a 1-goal game.
They've gotten such a sick whistle this entire series, and they've gotten 1 friggin' goal. It's embarrassing. Like, it's such a joke. It's a killer. It's such
I gotta tell you, being in the coach's office with Sheldon when the power play is bad and him leaning on the guy who runs the power play is the most awkward thing on earth. So I just can't even imagine the conversations he's had with Guy Boucher.
Well, then take it over, pal. I mean, send him packing. Like, Guy, like, so, buddy, you're gone. Like,
but you don't think that's already happened? You think Guy Boucher is the one who's like, we're keeping this group together. I'm dying on this hill. These 4 guys.
It's Sheldon by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, like, come on. That's why I tweeted about it, and it's like I'm getting people in my replies, the I told you so's being like, or the know-it-alls being like, it's Guy Boucher who runs the power play. I'm like, yeah, thanks. I think at 1 for 20, he's lost stewardship.
He's sitting in a corner. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Guy Boucher is basically reading magazines at this point. Like he's hanging out in between games. Yeah. They're like, find a new Netflix show for you to watch, Guy, because we really don't need much.
Put that up on the Netflix. Put that up, on the little the iPad that's down on the bench. Just put Murdoch Mysteries.
Got it set up with a kid's stand, and he just eats goldfish and watches.
I heard Shogun's good. Maybe mix in Shogun. I got one more big picture topic before rapid fires. Is there anything big picture left for you guys?
Well, it's more of look ahead for me. So
hold on. I don't have that yet then. I want to wrap up on this game. This is the question. Is Charlie McAvoy officially like the villain in this series? Like, it's hard to jump Marchand, I know, but has he fully entered like top tier Leaf fan villainy status to you, Sammy?
Yeah, he's got a bad face. Got a very punchable face. Does some dirty stuff. I mean, that hit on Camp tonight, I thought people had a problem with it. I had zero problem with it. Thought it was a hard hockey play. Hammered him, no problem there. But yeah, I mean, all the internet doctors going around with the Matthews play and saying that potentially is where he got hurt with the pullback. Him running around with that face, definitely. But no one's ever going to top Matt.
Can I jump in on the internet Matthews thing?
Yeah.
I actually opened up my Twitter today, and I had 3 separate plays that were in my like For You page of people doing the Matthews theorizing. That were all like, this is the moment. And I laughed because I went, that's incredible that it's 3 different ones. Anyways, Bourne, you think he's a full Leaf fan villain?
I think the Matthews thing has definitely set people down that path, but he's not been amazing for them. Like he's standing out there watching the puck when they score their OT winner. I got to believe the villain is a guy who's really killing you. So yeah, there's been bigger villains.
Oof, that's a great hit.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know Leaf fans are bent out of shape about that. A little bit of a forearm shiver.
Playoff hockey.
That's good. Hard
kudos to Camp, who gets right back out there and keeps playing with his nose probably, not in one piece.
They have a shot of Camp on the bench right after, like when he gets over there, when he's sitting down. He looked there.
Oh.
He looks so
I
bad.
hate getting hit in the nose.
Oh,
What am I doing?
That's like
your eyes are watering.
Yeah, he just looks so incredibly uncomfortable. Anyway, if you don't like that hit, you don't like playoff hockey. I'm sorry. Like what are we doing? If you want to get rid of that, like other sports for you, please. Like that's what I would say. Please, no, don't get rid of that. Okay, Sammy, the look ahead. What do you want to do?
I want to actually talk about how there is so much more pressure on the Boston Bruins in Game 7 than there is on the Leafs. In a Game 7 with all that's on the line for the Leafs, there's actually way more pressure on the Bruins, and I can't
ghost off.
It's a ghost off.
It's a ghost off.
It's been a ghost off.
Most ghost off.
It's been a ghost off for a few games here, but we are having the coup de grace of ghost offs on Saturday night. Like this is, like I said,
there may be no shots from either team.
They're calling in the priests for Saturday night. Like the ghosts are getting crazy, boys. I don't know. I don't know.
You want to call in the Boston priests?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying,
on the radio again. Hey, on the radio.
I'm just saying. Anyway, I don't know how to feel about this game because there's two things here. One is it feels like the Bruins, they've got to be completely in shambles. And I'll do it. I'll do body language talk. I'm looking at Marchand at the bench at the end of this game, and I'm just like staring. I'm fixated on him. And like I feel like he weirdly is thinking about this more than anybody. Like this is him. He's the Bruins captain. And have you guys, granted, I've been on teams from a small territory in Canada, but have you guys ever been on like winning teams that win year over year? How there's like this pressure when you're the next team to win, right? It's like, don't screw it up. And the Bruins own the Leafs. And I gotta feel like there's this extra don't screw it up factor on Marchand being the captain of this team. Like
you can't blow it to the Leafs. You can blow another 3-1. You can't blow it to the Leafs.
Definitely. That is a factor 100%.
The first team in history to do it back-to-back years and doing it against the Leafs, like that's just the most laughing stock you'll ever be. Like you might have to change the team name. Like
you can't come back from that. That's as bad as it gets. That's like to blow the 3-1 lead to the biggest ghost team on earth is insane. Like that is as bad as it gets. They actually need Saturday way worse than the Leafs do. Like there's no question. And that's why, like, listen, the Leafs, everyone,
I don't know.
Regardless of what's going to happen here, if they Leafs lose, I think it's just, everything's gone. But even if they have a little bit of in the second round, I don't think that everyone's going to survive, even if they get to the second round. Like I don't think there's a ton of like the difference between them winning at game 7 and them losing in 5 or 6 to the Florida Panthers isn't a whole lot to me. Like I truly don't think it is. But for the Bruins, like talk about them cleaning house here. I mean, they're going scorched earth over there if they blow a 3-1 lead to the Leafs after blowing a 3-1 lead last year.
I gotta tell you, their coach did not handle last game well. He didn't still angry till the puck drops next time and whatever. All he did, his team came out the exact same way. Like, I think he's showing it.
So I got a couple talking about Jim Montgomery. I just quickly went to my good friend Luke Fox's Twitter feed to check out to see if there's any Jim Montgomery.
He's like, I'm still mad. I'm mad as mad.
Jim Montgomery. I'm mad as heck. I'm mad as heck. Jim Montgomery in the Bruins' last 2 first periods. It's unacceptable. Jim Montgomery on David Pastrnak. Pasta needs to step up.
I don't mind that. Yeah. I actually don't mind that.
He's coaching hard. He knows. Like he's got one game left. So, I mean, let her fly.
You know what I do like? I like that Swayman hasn't played back-to-back games since January, and he's about to play a 6 straight with travel. I like that,
Buddy, I mentioned this on my pod about the stakes of this game that were the biggest to me was like the psychological stuff I thought was real because the Leafs have been written off, right? 3-1 to the Boston Bruins, the way that they played in game 4, all the obits got written. And if you're the Leafs, like it's our joke, right, Bourne? Like can't pull over any further. Like you can't get hammered any harder than you got hammered after game 4. Like that was the pinnacle of getting hammered. Everyone took a shot at you. Like everyone wrote you off.
Multiple.
Like everybody did it. And so if you're the Leafs, you're like, oh no, what are we that's gonna happen if we lose again? They're gonna
rerun the articles they already ran.
This is why there is way more pressure on the Bruins.
There's more pressure on the Bruins, I agree, but I would just say that it also is the Leafiest of all Leaf things to battle back against the Boston Bruins without Austin Matthews, to only get to a game 7 where the pressure's on Boston and then lay an egg and get their teeth kicked in.
Lose by 5. It's over after the first period.
Yeah, like, it reminds me of, remember that Raptors playoff against LeBron when they were like oh my God, the Raptors are doing this thing. They're taking LeBron. And then there was the game 4 or 5 where
LeBron went back to Cleveland. When it went back to Cleveland, they lost by like 40. I went out.
Yeah, and LeBron started the game by getting an alley-oop off the backboard from Kyrie.
drinking a beer. Wasn't that the one where he's drinking a beer?
That wasn't that game because that one happened in Toronto. This one was in Cleveland. He LeBron's like basically in the first quarter went down the floor, threw a kiss off, got a kiss off the glass from Kyrie, slammed it home, and then they were doing cuts to like the Raptors fans that flew in and won contests in Cleveland to be at the game, and I just felt sick to my stomach for them. And that's like I'm just getting shades of that right now. I will say that I'm protecting myself.
You're protecting yourself. I can hear both of you already protecting yourself.
I'll clearly protect myself, but I'll also say this: this is not your father's Bruins here. Like, no. They are not as good as the teams that the Leafs have blown leads to and lost in game 7s. Like they're not that team to me. So if they lose, they can obviously lose, and they probably will because it's the Leafs. It's game 7. It's TD Garden. But this is not the same animal that you've been dealing with in years past.
No, so last minute of the game, they got a guy, Kevin Shattenkirk, out there who couldn't make the lineup the game before. Yeah. Like they don't. Yeah, it's there for the taking.
Absolutely.
I keep saying it, but I'll keep driving it home. It's like, who on that team scares you?
Pasta.
Sure. And he has not been great.
McAvoy too. McAvoy's good offensively.
Yeah.
Like you can pick the way he jumps up.
But this is on reputation is what I'm saying. Like these are reputation.
Yeah.
Like who scares you in this series when you've been watching it? Like, can you guys tell, like, honest to God, if you don't look at the lines before the game, like, do you remember who's out there based on like, oh my God, it's those 3 guys because it's them 3 together that are like dominating you. It's like
he doubled Pasta with Marchand a ton tonight. He was begging them to give him something, and they didn't.
Oh, man. I will say a lot of Justin Brazeau. I'm like, holy God.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like he was out there a lot. I don't know what he ended up playing, but I'm like, this guy's key. JVR and Brazeau, key contributors.
Yeah. I think it's because the name sticks out. Rapid fire. Keith changes a winning lineup and he goes with Gregor, and I think it worked and I liked it. And I noticed Gregor a few times tonight, and he was classic Gregor, where it was like he got his one chance and it was not really a chance because he got no hands, but like he was moving, he was skating, he was playing, he was checking.
As the series slows down, putting a burst of speed in the lineup like that, it was, I noticed him a ton tonight.
Yeah, totally fine with the decision. We've got to the point of the series where like everyone has said what they need to say to each other. Everyone's hit each other hard enough. I thought Gregor actually played with a lot of physicality. Where he like got a couple good licks on guys, and I was completely fine with the decision, and I'm sure he'll probably play game 7. No,
I would agree.
We already talked about Joe Woll and what a game changer he's been, but I just want to also add a note that you got to really love the alertness that he had in this game. Like that guy was facing absolutely no shots. He was doing the, Mighty Ducks movie goalie skating around the net. Like I can't, like nothing's happening, taking a rest. And when he had to step up all of a sudden, again, after that power play,
his save was huge.
Yeah. And he just looked composed. Like he looked sharp. And there was no rust for him in the game. He was not scrambly whatsoever. He just looked intimidating to the Bruins. Like you can't muster any shots. You can't get any offense. And then the few times you get it to the net and that's the guy making plays, like, damn, man.
Leafs blocked 1,000 shots.
They did.
Lowry, like right after that power play, Lowry right down the chute. They just showed it here. And he gets a hard snapper off low blocker, which is probably any goal you'll tell you the hardest save to make. And he just shrugs it off, makes it look easy. Like that was a moment where I kind of was like, at least might only need one tonight. Cause he looked pretty, like he just is a solid, like, I don't know. We don't need to look back and cause it's going to game 7. You don't want to hypothesize about what could have happened if he had to just start from the start, but he's looked really good. It's 3-3. So away we
27 block shots for Leafs. I will say that Leaf fans have been waiting for a goalie for a while, especially a homegrown goalie. It's been brought up many times now that the organization has not done it in eons. And he might be the one.
Yeah.
Like
he might stay healthy.
He might be the one. I don't think anything else from me. I think that's it.
I'm all good. It was always Saturday, boys. It was always game 7, boys.
It was always
like your tweet said. It was always
game 7. I actually cashed a huge bet on that. Oh yeah, I had a huge bet that the series would go 7, and so yeah, I forgot about it entirely until this morning, and I was like, "Oh right, I have like big money on this to go 7 games, and I like bet that 2 weeks ago." So, that's actually the true last thing. We talked about this before the show.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring
But
it up.
if you had Leafs -1.5, or you had even worse, if you had bet this to be correct score, Leafs 2-0, or like any of it, you live bet the third period under, like. I don't care which way. If you lost on that 0.1 second, devastating.
Can I tell you something though? I like it for the Leafs that it went in. I like that it's not this shutout streak going over 2.5 games. And the second they get one, it's like, finally they've broken the ice.
What a zag. Love that zag.
There's no individual thing to chase here. There's no, he hasn't been scored, whatever. Just back to win the next game.
Wow. See, as a bona fide goalie guy, I will tell you that I love this zag. I think it's actually the correct take, but I would be just
so mad,
hurt. Like I'd be like, how much time was left? 0.1. Like they went and reviewed it. Like the game was over. You could have just let it go. Like I'd be mad at the league. I'd be mad at my team. I'd be mad at who shot it. Like
who even scored it? I got up. I was ready, and then they're like, "Oh, the game's still happening." Oh, it was geeky.
Oh, okay. Yes. I don't know either. Either way. I just thought to get a shutout in the Stanley Cup playoffs and to do it at home, and like that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. And now you ever I won at home, and people are like
incentivized to go get it in Game 7.
Yeah, I'm sure when Joe Woll goes to parties and tells them that he won playoff games in the NHL, they're like, "Yeah, cool."
By the way, Joseph Woll has started 4 NHL playoff games, and each of them the Leafs have had the chance to be eliminated. He's now 3-1 in those 4 games.
Hey,
can you be my hero, baby?
Warney brought the clutch gene stat with Knies, and now the clutch gene stat with Joe Woll. Like, what's happening here? That might have just enough clutch gene may have permeated the dressing room.
Tune in to Saturday night around this time to see guys feeling the exact opposite.
No, I'm gonna do Leafs talk with no camera.
Did a Guy Fawkes mask and cry?
Our screen being like, and then my contribution be like, "Yeah, it's yeah, it's fine, I guess. Cool, Bruins. Yeah, you didn't blow it. You make history. You're not the worst." Anyways, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at JT Bourne, at Sammy McKee. Reach out to the show anytime. Like I said, it really helps people find the show, and it really helps us if you just take 1 second to leave that thumbs up or hit the 5-star button or the follow button on Apple or on Spotify. We appreciate everybody who's watching us, and we're excited to have another Saturday night to be working. We'll see you then.